Imagine the roar of engines and the flash of neon lights as Xzibit and his crew rolled up to yet another rust-caked heap of a car. On screen, the beat throbs, subwoofers thump, paint glistens in Technicolor, and every owner's eyes shine with disbelief. But behind the cameras and beyond the gleaming veneers lurked a darker reality, one that MTV executives were desperate to bury. Tonight, we peel back the chrome-plated facade of Pimp My Ride to reveal the mistakes, the cover-ups, and the pressure that forced the crew to hide their own misgivings. This isn't just a tale of botched hydraulics or ill-fated fiberglass fins. It's a story of corporate demands, unspoken ethical lines, and the lengths people went to protect the show's reputation. From the pilot episode onward, producers prided themselves on delivering jaw-dropping makeovers in under a week. Viewers believed that rusted brakes transformed into gold rims overnight, and dented doors turned into trunk-mounted aquariums in the space between commercials. But the slightest delay or mechanical failure could threaten the illusion and threaten ratings. To salvage every episode, crew members signed strict non-disclosure agreements that forbade them from speaking to journalists, friends, or even their own families about how many modifications never passed a safety inspection. In private emails later leaked in a court dispute, welders admitted they sometimes used plastic rivets instead of metal to save time. Body shop painters confessed they sprayed experimental coatings that cracked under sunlight. And mechanics quietly apologized to struggling participants whose cars broke down days after they drove off the lot. Those sworn silences stifled dissent on set. When a hydraulic expert refused to install an overextended lift kit, warning it risked axle failure, he was quietly replaced. Another time, airbag engineers pushed back against custom seat installations lacking proper reinforcements. The head of design quietly called for a Plan B that involved hidden straps instead of certified brackets. All objections had to vanish before that final camera dolly rolled. Crew members who whispered concerns into private chats were met with frowns and reminders that this is entertainment, not engineering. Even then, rumors spread of impromptu patch jobs late at night, quick welds that would have required days of testing under normal circumstances. On screen, every tilt, twist, and rev appeared flawless. Off camera, every modification carried a whispered, "I hope they never drive this on the highway." Behind the bright lights and pumped-up personas, participants often signed contracts without realizing how little recourse they had if the pimped ride faltered. Owners assumed the modifications came with warranties. Instead, they found blank stares when their cars sputtered 3 blocks from the final reveal. One 24-year-old nursing student, beaming on live TV as she met Xzibit in the parking lot, later discovered her custom paint had sealed over rust, trapping corrosion beneath layers of lacquer. When her engine whined 2 days later, her calls for help landed in voicemail hell. After months of frustration, she quietly sold the car for scrap value. Yet despite her visible distress off-screen, the episode aired uncut, with only a fleeting caption reading, "Additional work pending." Corporate lawyers insisted such disclaimers sufficed, and no one outside legal circles dared disagree. Meanwhile, ratings soared. Pimp My Ride became a cultural phenomenon, spawning parodies, spin-offs, and international versions. Celebrity guests clamored for custom rides, and sponsors lined up to paint their logos on chassis and upholstery. The show's glossy veneer made it easy to overlook the unspoken toll on everyone involved. Writers penned scripts that dialed up drama, arguments over color schemes, forced emotional reunions in tear-streaked garages, while safety warnings and mechanical handoffs remained off the call sheet. Test drivers found themselves on camera clutching the steering wheel, sounding confident, even as they prayed the brakes held. And when a near miss happened on set, a blown shock that sent a car flipping halfway into a dumpster, it was spiked, never mentioned in trade reports or cast interviews. Yet the darkest cover-up came after Season 4, when a former participant filed a lawsuit for breach of contract and misrepresentation. Legal filings revealed internal memos instructing crew to swap broken components with dummy parts before the final shoot, ensuring on-screen performance trumped real-world reliability. Crew members alleged that any deviation from the script, no matter how dangerous, was to be labeled creative editorial choice and left in the cut. Witness statements describe late-night meetings in the production office, hushed instructions to edit out any evidence of malfunction, and stern warnings that any publicity about mechanical issues would be career suicide. All this, so viewers would never question the integrity of their favorite ride pimping spectacle. In this deep dive, we'll explore the key episodes that triggered hazards, the crew testimonies collected in sealed depositions, and the untold fates of participants who never got the promised lifetime service calls. We'll hear from mechanics who quietly walked away, from editors who struggled with ethical decisions, and from ex-producers who left the show when the dissonance between entertainment and safety became too loud to ignore. By the end, you'll see how the corporate engine drove everyone into the garage and why no one dared open the hood. But the deeper the seasons ran, the more cracks surfaced in the show's glossy armor. A diesel technician named Carlos recalls the morning he discovered that a custom turbocharger fitted under a fiberglass hood would scorch the engine block within days. He raised his hand at the breakfast meeting, voice tight with concern, but was brusquely told to keep quiet and focus on the aesthetic reveal. When he tried to email the head mechanic, his inbox auto-forwarded to trash. On shoot days, Carlos worked double shifts, welding manifolds in the dark after wrap. Once, he stumbled exiting the garage, wincing as his welding visor caught fire. That flash burn warranted a full incident report, but on Pimp My Ride, every injury was an off-screen secret. Crew formed secret chat groups, sharing tips to hide injuries from executives. One of the most notorious cover-ups involved a mid-season special in Miami Beach, where the heat and humidity tested every modification. Participants recalled discovering warped sunroofs and leaking trunk aquariums mere hours after filming ended. Mechanic Luis was instructed to swap out marine-grade seals with cheap rubber strips purchased online, then sign a waiver claiming parts were industry standard. When the aquarium pump shorted, flooding the trunk and risking electrical fire, the footage was spliced out and replaced with slow-motion shots of water lilies gliding across a different tank. Contestants were told that showroom delays were due to shipping, a half-truth that masked the danger. Producers even bribed inspectors to rubber stamp overseas parts for the final cut. Beyond the wild customizations, the relentless pace of weekly turnarounds pushed safety protocols out of the script entirely. Team lead Jasmine, a veteran body shop manager, once drafted a 20-point safety checklist for roll cages, steel reinforcements, and hydraulic mounts. She presented it at a production meeting, only to see it shredded and archived in a legacy folder. When she insisted on testing each cage in a controlled environment, she was accused of stalling and eventually replaced. Episodes then aired with subpar cages, risking ejection in stunts. Yet the on-screen narrative never wavered. Cars were safe, barrier-tested, and ready for any road. Any murmurs of doubt vanished before they could reach the final edit. Whistleblowers also described the culture of silence cultivated by legal teams and network lawyers. In a sealed deposition, a former editor testified that raw footage of an exploding gas line in episode 47 was destroyed on order, along with any ride-along audio capturing crew panic. Editors learned to use coded logs to flag dangerous incidents, marking them with innocuous labels like color grade check. Insiders call it malpractice. In-house counsel even threatened contempt charges to avoid serious safety audits. Thus, the system buried critical evidence beneath layers of bureaucratic red tape, ensuring that no attorney or journalist could ever unearth the true risks hidden behind each glossy final cut. Perhaps most unsettling was the revelation that custom audio upgrades often breached decibel limits, risking hearing damage to unsuspecting participants. In episode 23, a college graduate's 1978 Chevelle blared bass levels 2 times higher than legal thresholds. When she complained of ringing ears the next morning, her GM phone call was rerouted to a hotline that offered generic travel vouchers instead of medical advice. The sound engineer on location, Maya, recalls her horror when she discovered the decibel gauge had been tampered with, routing outputs through a covert amplifier that bypassed safety dampeners. Maya threatened to walk when executives refused to restore proper sound filters, but after a weekend-long negotiation, the network quietly replaced her with a junior technician who lacked the clout to object. Throughout its run, Pimp My Ride's executive suite maintained an immaculate public image, tightly curating any narrative of mechanical failure or participant distress. Promotional events featured gleaming cars and ecstatic reveals, never a whisper about a broken axle or warranty disclaimer. The show's legal department became adept at crisis management. PR reps drafted stock responses assuring the public that additional support is always available, while actual repairs were kept off camera. When lawsuits forced a joint statement, company spokespeople insisted all participants received full service, a claim contradicted by dozens of texts and memos uncovered in court records. Now, years later, many who built the spectacle are ready to tell the rest of the story of broken cars, broken trust, and a culture built on hiding hard truths beneath layers of polish. In our next episode, we'll present personal testimonies and sealed depositions that confirm these allegations and expose how deep the deception truly ran. Late one night, a junior production assistant named Emily slipped into the editing suite clutching a folder of uncut footage she'd rescued from the trash bin. Her hands shook as she loaded tape after tape onto the monitor, each clip revealing moments the broadcast never showed. Welds cracking under strain, undercoat brake lines seeping fluid, and scenes of contestants slamming on brakes in panic as their pimped rides lurched forward. Emily's heart pounded. These clips were proof that the show's safety disclaimers were lies. She scrolled through metadata stamped "Do Not Air," capturing evidence that hydraulic lifts buckled at 600 pounds, that custom roll cages buckled in slow-motion stress tests, and that an amateur camera crew once had to sprint to avoid a mineshaft collapse inside a modified Land Rover. Afraid to speak publicly, Emily poured her findings into a tight circle of trusted colleagues. Mechanic Javier, who'd once patched a cracked fuel line with epoxy, stared at the footage with haunted eyes. "They told me this was just TV magic," he whispered. "But I saw that car almost catch fire." Costume designer Tara, an unlikely ally, revealed that she'd discovered charred insulation behind dashboard trims and hidden damage to seatbelt mounts. Their shared outrage sparked a clandestine plan: build a dossier of every on-set hazard. Over the course of 2 seasons, they quietly accrued over 50 separate incidents, each documented with time codes, witness statements, and technical reports. When they approached a veteran automotive safety journalist, the team felt hope surge. That journalist, Martin, arranged to meet them in a deserted warehouse under the cover of darkness. Emily handed him a USB drive containing the footage. Javier provided diagrams of faulty components he'd sketched during sleepless nights. Tara delivered photographs of melted upholstery she'd smuggled from the paint shop. Martin's flashlight beam danced across safety certificates with forged signatures, over emails demanding "keep this off air," and over phone logs showing frantic executive calls instructing production to kill the story. He knew he had a blockbuster investigation, but he also understood the risk. Within days, Martin's exposé went live on a major news site. Headlined, "Pimp My Ride: Dangerous Deceptions." The article detailed 23 near-miss scenarios and quoted anonymous insiders describing life-threatening shortcuts. Viewership spiked as outraged fans read of stunt drivers forced to sign waivers that indemnified the network against any harm, even after their vehicles exploded on camera. Sponsors began to withdraw. Social media lit up with hashtags like #UnsafeRides and #TeachTheMechanics. Behind the scenes, the network's legal team mobilized, sending cease and desist letters to Martin and demanding his sources be silenced. But the momentum was unstoppable. On set the next morning, the mood was grim. A hastily arranged safety summit saw Xzibit himself pacing outside a soundstage, furious at what he'd called hidden truths that undermined the culture we built. He confronted executive producers, demanding accountability. In response, they drafted a public apology promising full mechanical audits and lifetime warranties. But no one believed the statement. Internally, it was labeled PR placation and never circulated to crews. Instead, production quietly relocated to a smaller backlit, stripped of key safety equipment, and demanded faster turnarounds to recoup lost ad revenue. Meanwhile, Emily received an anonymous tip warning her identity might be exposed. The dossier she'd compiled disappeared from her locked desk drawer. When she confronted security, she was told her complaints weren't in line with company values and escorted out. Javier and Tara found their access revoked, the welder's station reassigned, the paint booth locked behind new key codes. Some team members quietly signed new NDAs with stiffer penalties. Any suggestion of revisiting the safety summit was met with veiled threats of termination. The cover-up had deepened. Publicly, the network launched a glossy safety-first campaign, producing behind-the-scenes clips showing Xzibit signing crash test dummies and cheerful mechanics nodding over wrenches, none of which addressed the real hazards. They invited industry insiders to witness safety protocols in action, yet every demonstration was tightly choreographed. Test drives took place on private tracks, under ideal conditions, miles from the real-world roads where most participants would drive. The disconnect between staged safety and actual risk widened, yet viewers remained largely unaware, until a former contestant, college student Jordan, uploaded a grainy cell phone video of his car stalling on a highway flyover, wheels smoking, as he flagged down passing motorists for help. Jordan's video went viral overnight. In it, he admits, voice quivering, "They said it'd be certified safe for the highway. I almost didn't make it home." News anchors replayed the clip, panel discussions erupted, and regulatory bodies announced inquiries into the show's practices. Contestants who'd once basked in post-makeover glory now recounted tales of stalled engines, shattered custom dashboards, and the emotional toll of losing the ride they'd fallen in love with on TV. The network's credibility cratered as sponsors fled and affiliate stations threatened to pull the reruns. By the end of that tumultuous season, Pimp My Ride's producers were ousted, replaced by a crisis management team. Xzibit released a tear-stained video apology. "I thought we were doing something great, but we let people down." But the damage was done. The final episodes aired as confessionals, stripped of surprise reveals, and instead focusing on the fallout. Audience numbers plummeted, the spin-offs were canceled, and MTV quietly shelved plans for more seasons. In the aftermath, many crew members reintegrated into safer, smaller productions. Emily, Javier, and Tara each found new roles under directors who prioritized meticulous safety reviews. Martin, the journalist, won an award for investigative reporting, and former contestants formed a support network, sharing car repair tips and legal advice. Though Pimp My Ride's facade crumbled, its legacy endures as a cautionary tale. When entertainment trumps ethics, the risks hidden beneath all that chrome can be far more dangerous than any rusted old heap. From the ashes of Pimp My Ride's downfall, a new chapter emerged, one of accountability, reform, and hard-earned redemption. In the weeks after that viral video and the expose, MTV convened an emergency summit, inviting federal safety regulators, former crew members, legal experts, and even a handful of courageous contestants who'd come forward. The network's glossy corporate veneer peeled away as heated debates exposed how entertainment imperatives had eclipsed real-world responsibility. Under bright fluorescent lights, executives listened as whistleblowers blasted through non-disclosure constraints, detailing how every compromised part had put lives at risk for the sake of one final dramatic reveal. One of the most wrenching moments came when Emily, the junior assistant who smuggled footage from the trash bin, took the podium. She spoke with quiet conviction. "We weren't reckless. We were cornered. We believed that if we admitted the truth, the show would die, and all our livelihoods would vanish." Her confession cut deeper than any crash test dummy could convey. It underscored that the culture of silence had trapped talented professionals in a cycle of denial and fear. Javier the mechanic, voice cracking, added, "I lost sleep over every weld I hid from inspectors. I lost faith in myself." Their admissions sparked a palpable reckoning in that conference room. Regulators wasted no time issuing cease and desist orders for any further episodes until MTV could demonstrate compliance with full safety audits. The network's legal team scrambled to negotiate settlements with dozens of participants, offering retroactive warranties and making amends with affected owners. Some contestants accepted lump sum payments. Others demanded public apologies and formal acknowledgments that their cherished rides had been compromised. The legal fallout was staggering. Multiple class action suits were filed, and one retired stunt driver even pursued criminal charges against unnamed production staff for willful endangerment. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the network undertook a comprehensive internal review. Every vehicle from every season was pulled back into shop bays for thorough inspections. Engineers retrofitted faulty hydraulics, replaced substandard materials, and applied true industry standard safety measures, this time documented, certified, and signed off by third-party auditors. Crew members found their old grievances validated when new reports classified dozens of past build techniques as clear violations of federal motor vehicle safety regulations. Equipment manuals were rewritten, training courses mandated, and NDAs restructured to protect whistleblowers rather than silence them. The story did not end there. As part of a broader industry reckoning, trade associations for reality television and automotive customization convened panels to draft ethical guidelines. These new standards required full disclosure of safety testing, mandated rest periods for crews, and stipulated transparent communication with participants. Shows that failed to comply faced fines, rating suspensions, and potential bans in key markets. The ripple effect was felt across networks. Spin-offs and copycats that once celebrated extreme makeovers pivoted to more authentic formats, featuring certified mechanics and on-camera safety demonstrations. Fuel-injected drama gave way to genuine mechanical mastery. Xzibit, whose starring role had anchored the franchise, emerged from the scandal with a mixture of remorse and renewed purpose. He appeared on morning talk shows, his trademark energy tempered by humility. "I never wanted anyone hurt," he told one interviewer. "We set out to make people happy. We lost sight of the risks." He announced a partnership with a vocational charity to fund scholarships for underprivileged students pursuing automotive safety careers. His face, once synonymous with over-the-top customizations, became an emblem of second chances. While some fans remained skeptical, others admired his willingness to confront the fallout rather than retreat behind canned statements. For the crew members who stayed, this period became one of profound transformation. Jasmine, the veteran body shop manager whose safety checklist had once been shredded, was reinstated and promoted to head safety officer. She implemented rigorous protocols on subsequent productions, earning industry awards for her commitment to crew welfare. Carlos, the diesel technician who'd warned about turbocharger failures, started hosting safety workshops at trade schools, transforming his cautionary tale into curriculum for the next generation of mechanics. Their careers, once stalled by fear of reprisal, reignited through hard-won recognition. As Pimp My Ride's formal production ended, there was no triumphant series finale, only a silent fade-out as networks removed reruns and stripped the show from streaming platforms. Instead, a new docuseries premiered, Under the Hood, The Pimp My Ride Reckoning, chronicling the scandal, the bold reforms, and the human stories behind the headlines. Interviews interwove footage of corroded frames with tearful apologies and triumphant safety rallies. Critics hailed it as one of the most compelling reality TV retrospectives ever produced, noting that it achieved a rare blend of confessional honesty and systemic critique. Today, the show's legacy remains a cautionary tale. Behind the veneer of spectacular transformations lay compromised ethics and hidden dangers. Yet from that mess emerged genuine progress, stricter regulations, empowered crew members, and a renewed respect for the fragile intersection of entertainment and engineering. For every botched modification and hushed cover-up, there now stands a story of accountability, collaboration, and redemption. The engine that once drove Pimp My Ride's illusion now powers an industry committed to ensuring that when a hammer falls or a paint sprayer fires, everyone on set, on camera or off, makes it home safe at the end of the day. In the years since Pimp My Ride collapsed under the weight of its own secrets, its ripples have reshaped not only MTV but the realities of every high-stakes makeover series that followed. Participants who once flashed huge grins on television now speak candidly about the emotional fallout of trusting entertainment promises that proved empty. One former contestant, Tamika, recalls winning a custom stereo system on air only to endure months of quiet embarrassment when it fried within weeks. She now mentors reality TV hopefuls, urging them to negotiate guarantees in writing and consult independent mechanics before signing any contracts. Her blog, Ride Rights, has become a trusted resource for viewers and producers alike, demanding transparency and accountability in every signed waiver. Executive producers who survived the purge tell similar stories of transformation. After the scandal, senior producer Marcus Hammond left MTV and founded a boutique production house specializing in authentic mechanics shows. His flagship series, Grease and Grit, pairs certified technicians with vintage car collectors to restore vehicles at a realistic pace, funding every repair with transparent budgets. Marcus insists on airing full safety tests and has incorporated a mandatory ethics hour into each episode, where participants and crew discuss any mechanical concerns on camera. Networks initially balked at the slower format, but audience engagement proved stronger than ever. Viewers appreciated honesty over illusion, and Grease and Grit earned top ratings among automotive enthusiast demographics. Meanwhile, the core members of the original Pimp My Ride crew have charted new courses built on the lessons they learned. Jasmine, the safety officer whose checklist was once cast aside, now consults for film sets around the world. Her safety manual, born from the show's mistakes, has been adopted by 5 major studios and translated into 8 languages. She also leads workshops at trade schools, training students to spot hidden hazards and cutting-edge customizations. "I never thought I'd become a safety evangelist," she says, "but our failures taught me the power of vigilance." Her story exemplifies how personal integrity can triumph when faced with large-scale culpability. Mechanic Carlos, whose warnings about overheated turbochargers were buried, rebuilt his career as a performance engine guru. He opened a garage in Phoenix dedicated to sustainable modifications, emphasizing long-term reliability and environmental compliance. His Green Turbo program retrofits older engines with eco-friendly components, and he publishes an annual safety report on aftermarket parts, free to the public. When asked about his involvement in Pimp My Ride, he speaks of regret tempered by renewal. "I saw firsthand how quick fixes can become long-term hazards. Now, every car I touch carries my promise. No shortcuts." Participants also reclaimed their narratives. College student Jordan, whose highway breakdown went viral, partnered with a legal advocacy group to secure fair settlements for all 200-plus affected owners. He negotiated retroactive warranties, published mechanic referrals, and even co-authored a white paper on consumer rights in televised makeovers. His work prompted state legislators in California and New York to draft bills requiring reality TV shows to disclose safety certifications and establish repair guarantee funds held in escrow. That legal innovation has become standard in at least 12 states, protecting thousands of families from mechanical nightmares disguised as entertainment. The legacy of Pimp My Ride now unfolds in educational curricula as well. Film schools offer case studies on the series' ethical collapse, dissecting exactly how non-disclosure agreements and production pressures overrode basic engineering protocols. Journalism programs examine the role whistleblowers played in exposing hidden dangers, while business courses explore crisis management strategies, both successful and flawed, in the network's response. Each semester brings fresh articles and documentaries, ensuring that future producers, technicians, and on-air talents understand the vital intersection of entertainment, ethics, and public safety. Even MTV itself has acknowledged the lasting impact. In a recent interview, the network's content chief admitted, "Pimp My Ride taught us a painful lesson. Authenticity and ethics are non-negotiable. Our green light process now includes third-party safety audits, and every presenter must undergo a producer-led training on participant welfare." The shift extends beyond automotive shows, influencing talent-based competitions, home renovation series, and survival challenge programs. Across the network, on-screen disclosures now routinely include direct links to repair helplines, mental health resources, and consumer protection agencies, a far cry from the crocodile tears and empty disclaimers of the past. Today, when vintage car enthusiasts tune into cable channels or stream custom-build series online, they carry a new sense of empowerment. They know to look for genuine certifications, to question glossy transformations that promise instant perfection, and to value the voices of insiders who speak up when shortcuts threaten safety. The dark truths hidden beneath Pimp My Ride's shiny panels have sparked an industry-wide awakening, reminding us all that no thrill is worth a human life or a participant's peace of mind. As the embers of Pimp My Ride's downfall cooled, networks and creative teams scrambled to redefine what entertained audiences without sacrificing safety and authenticity. Production suites adopted blanket policies requiring third-party engineering sign-offs before any vehicle modification could appear on camera. Scriptwriters replaced stunt-driven reveals with narrative arcs emphasizing craftsmanship, research, and the real-world impact of each upgrade. Viewers responded enthusiastically, rewarding shows that valued participant welfare as much as cinematic flair. The era of instantaneous, reality TV spectacle gave way to thoughtful storytelling that respected both human lives and mechanical integrity. It was a radical shift forged in the crucible of controversy, proving that transparency could not only coexist with entertainment, but elevate it. In the months and years that followed, the lessons learned permeated every corner of the broadcast industry. Renovation series began airing extended safety briefings, demonstrating test results and on-camera inspections. Talent-based competitions integrated statements of consent that explicitly outlined participants' rights to after-show support and warranties. Even adventure and survival programming invited medical experts to review gear and protocols in live segments. Reality TV executives, once enamored with dramatic tension at any cost, now championed open dialogue and invited backlash as a means to improve. The new mantra became, show it, test it, talk about it, ensuring no hidden flaws undermined on-screen excitement. For the professionals who built Pimp My Ride's car, dreams, the transformation was deeply personal. Many found redemption through collaboration with the very people they once failed. Emily launched a nonprofit that archived real-world mistakes as training tools for aspiring producers and mechanics. Javier's safety workshops became industry staples, blending cautionary tales with hands-on practice. Tiffany, an upholstery specialist who once concealed faulty seat mounting, now runs a design studio showcasing ethically sourced materials and full safety compliance. Their collective work created a blueprint for future productions, a legacy far richer than any custom paint finish. Participants, once left to navigate broken promises alone, discovered new avenues to share their stories and rebuild trust. Support networks sprang up for reality show alumni, offering legal guidance, mechanical assessments, and peer-to-peer counseling. Automotive schools introduced elective courses on media ethics and mechanical liability, inviting former contestants to speak directly to students about their experiences. The once isolated voices of disillusioned car owners became a chorus advocating for structural change, ensuring future participants never faced the same pitfalls. Critically, the evolution did more than protect individuals on set. It reignited audience engagement by connecting viewers to authentic narratives. Ratings soared for series that championed transparent builds and human-centered storytelling. Social media buzz shifted from shock reveals to behind-the-scenes craftsmanship and personal breakthroughs. Fans celebrated when hosts conducted meaningful interviews about participant concerns, offered follow-up episodes documenting long-term results, and spotlighted community outreach projects funded by show proceeds. The excitement of transformation returned, fueled by empathy and respect, rather than manufactured peril. Ultimately, the dark truth behind Pimp My Ride became its own catalyst for positive change. What began as a cautionary tale about hidden dangers morphed into a blueprint for responsible entertainment. By unearthing failures and amplifying the voices of those once silenced, the industry not only regained trust but discovered that integrity and innovation can thrive together. The metallic gleam of custom rims now reflects more than fashion. It mirrors an industry committed to safeguarding the well-being of everyone beneath the hood. And for every producer, technician, and participant who learned that the true measure of success lies not in dramatic flair, but in ethical execution, the real victory was knowing that when the cameras stop rolling, people are left safer, wiser, and more empowered than ever before. Looking ahead, the legacy of Pimp My Ride extends beyond the turbulence of its own downfall. Today, schools of design and engineering integrate case studies drawn directly from its exposed failures, ensuring students graduate with not only technical skill, but a profound respect for the ethical dimensions of their craft. Car clubs host safety seminars named in honor of Emily, Javier, and Tiffany, where customizers share war stories and best practices in a spirit of transparency. Filmmakers include compliance checklists in their call sheets, and participants now demand full walkthroughs of safety audits before signing contracts. Across the web, Communities formed by former contestants organize annual reunions to track the long-term performance of their once gilded rides, creating living archives of real-world data that guide future modifications. These grassroots efforts transform the once shameful epilogue of a scandal into an empowering testament to community-driven progress. In this way, echoes of Pimp My Ride ripple through every corner of automotive culture, reminding us that even the most misguided venture can spark enduring innovation when failure is met with accountability and collective wisdom.